This segment is brought to you by A.J. Doman Chevrolet. We say yes when others say no.
Welcome back to HTV College Prep. I'm your host, Dominic LaBeouf, and I'm an electrical engineer studying at Louisiana Tech University. And this episode will have a special place in my heart and will be the best episode on HTV College Prep because this episode will be about electricity, which is the exact field that I am studying right now. So let's talk about the basics of this energy source. Electricity, simply put it, is the flow of electrons. So if you remember from episode 1, an electron is a small negatively charged particle that orbits an atom. And the flow of these particles is what forms electricity. So a basic electrical circuit has two major components. I guess three, but we'll talk about the third a little later. The two are voltage and current. So current is how many electrons pass a given point in 1 second. And the units for electrons is coulombs. So coulombs is a very, very large number of electrons. I'll put it up on the screen. I don't remember right now, but it's an enormous amount of electrons. But since electrons are so small, it really isn't that big on our scale. And really all we're measuring with current is how many times 1 coulomb, or how many times this amount of electrons passes a given point in 1 second. And voltage is almost the pressure that the battery source or energy source provides to push these electrons through the circuit. So a good analogy for this would be like a water faucet. So the pressure that the pipes and the station provides to you in your faucet is the voltage. And the amount of water actually coming out of the sink is the current. So the pressure of the pipes is the voltage, and the amount of water coming out of the sink per second is the current. So now for the third major component, which is resistance. So in electricity, you have conductors and insulators. So conductors are like metal, really just metal. There's other stuff too, but it's stuff that easily allows electricity to flow between them. So that's why if you look at a circuit board, it's made out of a type of metal, and all wires have copper in them because it easily allows electricity to flow through them. It's like a big open pipe. Water can easily flow through a big open pipe. And then we have insulators, which is rubber, air, I guess fabrics, you know what I mean? It's stuff that really does not allow electricity to flow through them. And for a pipe, that would be a brick wall because water cannot flow through a wall. So that's basically what an insulator is. And resistance is somewhere kind of in the middle between an insulator and a conductor. It allows a little bit of current to flow through, but not completely. That's a resistor. And it's measured in resistance, which is ohms. So that was a little confusing. Let me explain a little further. So let's go back to our water analogy. So let's say we had this pipe with water flowing through it, and then we add a smaller pipe in the middle that constricts the amount of water that can pass it. That would be a resistor in an electrical circuit. So in an electrical circuit, if we add a resistor, it limits the amount of current that can flow through it, thus making the current on the other side smaller. And this is useful for pretty much every circuit in existence, because if we want component A to receive a lot of electrons, but we want component B to receive fewer electrons, we can simply add a resistor, thus limiting the current that it receives. And there's other components too in electrical circuits, like capacitors, inductors, relays, transistors, but those are all very complicated for the scope of this video. Now let's talk about the electricity that comes out of an outlet, which is called alternating current. So if you remember back in high school when you learned trig and you saw the sine wave or the cosine wave, it kind of makes this like curvy shape, which I'll put on the screen right now. And that is exactly what the electrons are doing in your wall outlet. So earlier in this video, when we were talking about electricity, we were talking about electrons flowing one direction. But in your wall outlet, they flip direction 60 times per second, which may sound confusing, and it is a little bit more confusing, but it's called alternating current. And the current we were talking about before is called direct current. An alternating current has multiple benefits, which it's very easy to transmit electricity over long distances using alternating current. That's why the power grid and the telephone poles you see outside use alternating current. But it's a little bit harder to control and oftentimes more dangerous because the voltage and the current changes 60 times per second. But that is it for this episode of HTV College Prep. Please come back next week for a completely new topic, but I really hope that you enjoyed electricity as much as I did. And thank you for watching.
This segment was brought to you by AJ Doman Chevrolet. We say yes when others say no.